What's up, everybody? Cody here from eSports, and today this is our first episode of what I guess called the RoboCast, where every week I'm going to sit there and talk about a topic going on in the community. And this week I want to talk about the actually a couple of things. I want to talk about the Smashbox controller coming out, and I also want to talk about the Nintendo Switch possibly getting a port of Super Smash Bros. Melee. As you all know, Melee is a huge competitive game from Nintendo. It's easily the most viewed competitive Nintendo game of all time. It's a fantastic game, and recently there's been a lot of drama going on about this controller called the Smashbox, and what that is. It is a arcade stick style controller that is made of nothing but digital buttons, as opposed to a traditional stick or analog stick, and so on and so forth. And Melee has always been played on a GameCube controller. That's been the only viable option for so long, where if you want to play Melee, you play it on a GameCube controller. And the controller's great. I love the controller. It's one of my favorite controllers of all time. However, I think it's time to face the fact that the Nintendo GameCube controller is not the optimal controller for Super Smash Bros. And let me tell you why. And some of the drama surrounding the Smashbox. Accusations of macros and digital analog to digital conversion and stuff along those lines, which I've always thought was really odd. When I look at the Smashbox and I see a controller, I see another option for people who want to play the game. And you got to keep in mind, this is a day and age where people play Melee on keyboards. With the rise of Melee netplay, some people have actually started playing Melee on keyboards. It's granted they're very few and far between, but they are there. So that's one thing that you got to keep in mind when looking at the legalization of these controllers, is the accessibility. Now, if this controller were legalized, and to get it out of the way, I am pro legalization of the Smashbox, it would offer up an opportunity for the keyboard warriors to come in and play, for people who use more of a traditional fighting game controller to come in and play. And it's something that I think if we want to be accepted into the fighting game community, if we want to be at EVO and CEO and all these other big FGC events, then we need to start accepting that if we want to be recognized as a fighting game, we need more controller options than just the GameCube controller. And a step in the right direction is the Smashbox. Now, Smash 4 has enjoyed button remapping ever since the days of Brawl. Brawl, Project M both had button remapping. Smash 4 has button remapping, and it's a necessary feature in this day and age. If you want to set your players free, they need to be able to remap their buttons. And so with this new controller, that could even potentially, it's yet to be seen, but could potentially improve the health, like the physical health of our top players. If they were to adopt this controller, then I don't see what's wrong with it. Yes, some tech's easier, some tech's going to be a little bit harder. You're going to have Firefox angles that aren't going to go quite the way you wanted to. Your dashbacks and everything are going to be super crisp if you learn. And in addition to the health factor, I think it would be really cool to see how far this could take the game of Melee. Melee's 15 years old. At this point, you feel like you've seen it all. But with purely digital inputs, there's no telling what you could do. It's insane. The limits are endless, and you could push the meta beyond what we thought was even possible. Now that scares some people. I think it's fantastic. I would really like to see that happen. And honestly, so going into my next point. Melee players might have to adopt some different controllers as it is. So, with the recent rumors coming out of Eurogamer that Super Smash Bros. Melee is being ported to the Nintendo Switch, that presents a whole interesting bit of news in itself, because the Nintendo Switch is going to have its own unique controller, its own unique setup, and if everything goes correctly with this port, which I hear the company that's doing it does a really good job, they're behind the NES Classic. The NES Classic is just a fantastic little little system that does emulation really well. If this emulation's done right, and if the latency is not bad at all on gaming monitors, that might bring Melee from the CRT age into the modern day fighting game age, where you've got your high performance monitors and with Asus and BenQ and everything, and they might be playing on that. And in addition to that, I'm sure if they're going to port GameCube games that they're going to include the Nintendo GameCube adapter. That's almost a given. It really is. They would have to be insane not to, but that's also going to present the option of being able to play with the Switch Pro controller. And the Switch Pro controller, I think, looks fantastic. I love the layout. I love having my analog stick on the top and a right analog stick on the bottom. I love my diamond face buttons. It looks like a fantastic controller, and it seems like Nintendo's really actually pushing it with eSports. When the reveal of the Switch came out, you saw this stadium full of people with everyone in their jerseys and they're playing Splatoon. So maybe they're looking to go into an esports more orientated system, and with the more esports orientated system is going to come more controller options. Now, Smash 4, since I moved down here to Tampa, I've seen almost a 50-50 divide between the Nintendo GameCube controller and the Wii U Pro controller at any given tournament. The Smash 4 has several, I think upwards of 8 different controller options, some better than others, but it's one of those things people are starting to realize that maybe the GameCube controller is not optimal, and the extra buttons of a Pro controller, of a Smashbox, may be useful, and the digital buttons in this day and age may come off as more optimal than what they were before. But anyway, those are kind of my thoughts on it. Please let me know down below what you think of the Smashbox controller, what you think of maybe the Switch catering to Melee eSports. Let me know anything you want to know down below. Let's get a discussion going. But anyway, guys, thank you very much. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.